So, hi everybody, and thank you for joining us for a very special Sensei interview. Today we're going to be speaking with a trailblazer in the medical cannabis space, Miss Mieko Perez. So, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it. I'm
Thank
gonna,
you so much for having me.
yeah, absolutely. We're like so excited. We've been trading emails and we're like, oh my God, I can't wait to connect. So, I'm just going to give a little quick bio for the audience just so that they know exactly who you are. Miko is the co-founder of the Unconventional Foundation for Autism. She also serves as the president of CA Corporate and Attorney Services. She gained significant recognition for bringing her son's success with medical cannabis to the public and birthing a very significant genetic called Joey strain, which I'm still trying to get my hands on, by the way. And with over 15 years of legal experience, Miko helps families in the autism community, and she's has achieved congressional recognition for her community service. And her expertise in cannabis consulting with special needs families has made her an ideal board member for the Normals Women's Alliance.
Yeah.
I gotta take a breath after that. That's a lot. Amazing. You're doing amazing work. So I guess the
Yeah.
best way that we can get this started is, how did this journey start for you?
Oh, wow. In 2009, my son was given 6 months to live with the medications associated with treating autism, some of the symptoms. And at that time, he was about 42 pounds, and my son was withering away. And his doctor cleared him for a dentist appointment, which I didn't think was the right thing to do. And so I remember driving home that day, and I'm saying, my son has been cleared for, surgery, but he's too thin, he's too little, and so I rescheduled, and I started on one of the biggest cases of my life, and it was my son. I started researching and finding information that wasn't available. It was, or it was stuffed behind, a bookcase. And I found an article that Bernard Rimland wrote. Bernard Rimland is very well respected in the autism community, and he wrote a paper on the benefits, or could cannabis help with children on the spectrum. So it was very positive. And then I continued to find research on brain trauma, which led me to speaking directly with Lester Greenspoon. It was, this was the biggest case of my life. So I had a lot of documentation to support why I wanted to place my son on cannabis. And I walked into his psych doctor's office and I said, with or without you, this is what we need to do to at least get some meat on his bones. I mean, he was 42 pounds and he was 9 years old. And so initially, I thought of Cheech and Chong, and I said, look, I couldn't be the only parent that has thought of this. So at the time I was married, and my husband was a stoner. So I knew, I'm going to walk through the door, and he's, I'm in the legal industry. I come from a very, if you're not a church member, you're in law enforcement in my family. So,
Wow, okay. Very conservative background.
extremely conservative background, and I was in the legal industry. So, this particular decision was solely based on my son's quality of life. So,
Absolutely. It's like, as a mother, it's like, how could you not move forward with that? You
yeah,
know? So ultimately, you were trying to put some meat on your son's bones. And you
right.
thought by stimulating his appetite through cannabis, is how you would go about that. So when you actually went to your doctor with this idea and your findings, what was like his or her response? Were they like, yeah, I don't really want to touch this, or what was the story around that?
No, actually, I had I have a really good had a really good medical team, and we made decisions together. There's not one time that I ever walked in the doctor's office and they made the sole decision. Every decision that was made, we made it as a team. And this particular decision was made as a team as well.
Okay.
So having them, I mean, and I even to date, that's been one of the most key, key things, and having your medical team on board, as well as, so the medical team was great, and then I had, my attorneys, and I had, because of the legal industry that I've been in, I knew exactly what was going to take for this to be successful.
Got you. Got you. So when you had your medical team together, what was the actual medication regime for Joey? Like, where did he start?
With the cannabis or with, okay, so with the cannabis, I was very, very lucky in the beginning. I did the research, but I also had my ex-husband, and I was very fortunate to meet a great group of gentlemen by the name of DNA Genetics, Don and Aaron. And I'm not sure how we met. But they just appeared one day, and I went through maybe, and I think it was I'd spoken at one of the events, and Don and Aaron showed up and said, "Hey, it's us. You're giving Joey LA Confidential. That's ours." So, so after that, and that was one of the first strains that I started off with, and so we began. That was the starting of a beautiful relationship with these guys. So they helped me for a couple of years, and then I think they went back to Amsterdam. And so I was also introduced into another set of gentlemen from Buds and Roses in Los Angeles, Kyle, Tyler, and Aaron Justice. And so it's been quite a journey. And I've had to take this crash course because, again, I'm still not a cannabis consumer. So I had to learn quick.
Yeah.
I'm book smart and I could read, but cannabis is different for every single person. It's kind of like autism. There's no child alike. Well, there's no reaction that's alike in cannabis. And other than being very instrumental in opening up the door, or opening up the lock and key to a lot of children that I've helped.
Interesting. With autism, and this is just because of my curiosity, I know that cannabis is like one tool. Is there other tools that you use holistically with Joey in conjunction with the cannabis?
So with Joey, in the beginning, I started off with a gluten-free, casein-free diet. I started off with, that didn't work very well with him, and I believe that's because he's on the lower end of the spectrum. He's nonverbal. He has severe autism, and so that didn't work at all for him. So what I did was I did some research on glutamate and found out that cannabis is the mother glutamate.
Wow.
And as I was seeing miracles happen, they weren't really miracles. It was all of the information that I was starting to read on I think Lester Greenspoon wrote something, and there's a lot of information on brain trauma. And before autism was autism,
They
it was
thought
brain.
it was brain trauma before, so that's
Yeah,
what they were treating it as.
right,
Interesting.
right. And then so that's where I started my research is that brain trauma because the inflammation of the brain the wiring isn't connecting, and so a lot of the information with sensory it's the glutamate, and cannabis happens to be the glutamate mother.
Wow. So by introducing the mother of glutamate, how has it affected like his speaking response, eye connectivity, all of these things? Did you see like a dramatic change once you introduced cannabis into his system?
Right, it was gradual, and for the most part, the only thing that I wanted from him is, to kind of reduce some of his behaviors, and that's it. Reduce his behaviors and gain weight.
Mm.
What I was starting to see was a transformation, and I was starting to see that my son had a personality.
Oh, you know
Uh,
what? As a mom, that must have been so like that must have been just amazing for you.
Yeah, for me, and I don't know if it was amazing as much as it was just kind of observing. I was observing and less amazing. I was like, okay, and I was, repetitive behaviors. I mean, my son would go in the kitchen and open and close the refrigerator for like the whole day. He had an emergency IEP plan always in school.
Wow.
He was, pulling the teacher's hair. He didn't speak. So he was a very extreme case. He was running out of the house. He, had no idea of fear, no idea of pain, nothing. And I remember the first couple of days giving him the cannabis, he started watching TV. This is a child that's never taken a nap from birth to 9 years old. He's never acknowledged anything in a room or anyone or any object. So for me to see him all of a sudden open up and have, interact in a conversation or try to and notice that there's other people in the room. One thing that happened, which that I don't talk about very often, but my father, when he found out that I was doing this, he stopped talking to me for a while. He didn't understand.
And
And
just
so,
because of the cannabis, like just the fact that you're using it?
yeah, it was because, I mean, you figure he didn't understand. He didn't know. He didn't know that I did research. And so he came over for Christmas one year, and for the very first time, Joey acknowledged him. And he was in Joey's room for a while, and Joey was interacting with him, and my dad abruptly left.
Wow.
And he called me 3 days later to apologize. He said he had no idea that what I was doing was unlocking Joey, unlocking up. So to date, he's one of my biggest supporters.
That's amazing. That's
Yeah.
amazing. And I know that, there's a lot of people out there that are still a little bit
Yeah.
standoffish about that, but thankfully your dad was open and wise enough to see that there's a change and a positive change that's happening
Yeah.
in Joey.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, Joey was able to drink a drink. He's dancing to music. These are things that Joey he wasn't like this before. And so I would keep a very detailed log of, oh my God, and I've even, come up with, it's not a miracle. It's science.
it's
And so I really had to go back to science, and I was very lucky to, at that time in 2009, to be around some of the greats in the industry. I mean, I toured with Jorge Cervantes. Like it's, you know,
he's big stuff, guys. If you don't know, he's pretty big stuff.
You know, you have the Jorge Cervantes, you have the Ed Rosenthal's, you have Robert Melamede, these are the guys that I was around. I toured with these guys, and I didn't realize at the time, you know, that I was lucky to be able to jump on the phone or send an email to Lester Greensmill, and he responds immediately, you know, and I had no idea. Moving forward to 2017, I'm like, yeah, I can just call this guy right now. You know, it's because I've had 9 years of you know, again, I've been very, very fortunate to work with some of the folks in the industry that I have. So it's
And just based on those individuals, I'm assuming they were kind of imperative in helping you create Joey's strain?
Yes. So Buds and Roses, Aaron and Tyler, Aaron, Justice, and Tyler, and Kyle. You know, it's how I met them is even one of those crash. You know, I had a friend of a friend, and they actually welcomed me into their dispensary, and we built this great friendship. And I said, you know, I want to take this further. You know, it's great that we went public, and you know, I'm improving the lives of so many families that are up against autism. I said, let's take it to another level. Let's try. There's a couple of strains that I know that work for Joey, and so let's try to come out with a strain specifically for persons on the autism spectrum. And it took a while. It was like a couple of years, and we went public, I believe, in 2012 with the Joey strain.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And it's the common, you know, not everyone is ready for Joey's strain. So let me say that. Let me give you that disclaimer. Joey's had cannabis in his system since 2009. So Joey's strain happens to be a high THC oil and a low CBD oil, low CBD. So, you know, I believe, you know, when parents come to me and say, I want Joey's strain, I'm like, no, you're not ready yet. No, you're not ready.
Take your time.
Yeah,
start low and go slow, right? That's what they say.
And so I you know, really, you know, I've been very, very blessed and very fortunate to have worked with these gentlemen. And now, you know, here 2016, 2015, I'm involved and helping to map, you know, helping to build that path and build that bridge for other families that are just like mine, you know, that have a child just like Joey. So it's very rewarding.
Of course, and you're such an amazing resource. And like I said, you're trailblazing this whole path on your own. I'm curious though, like, how is cannabis administered for Joey, like, right now?
So Joey's strain comes in an oil form, similar to the RSO. It's an RSO oil. And you know, I take a little rice grain of it. I rub it on his gums every 15 days.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So it's twice a month. And you know, when I speak to physicians and I tell them they're like, what? And I said, yeah. So whatever impression that you had before, just throw it out. You know, it's this is the new you know, cannabis patient. This is the new patient base, and you know, we're doing things that are responsible. I'm concerned with you know, the most appropriate delivery method,
right?
And that's one of the things that I go over with families is the most appropriate delivery method, and you know, that's how I build plans for action plans, like for families who contact me.
And that's totally depends on individual situations, their environment, and possibly what they're starting out on. So everybody
Right.
who's out there, don't think that this is going to be a one-stop shop.
No.
It's a matter of essentially trying different modes of administration.
Right, right. And so in 2020, I've been on so many boards. In 2015, I joined the board of MedTainer. And MedTainer is, I believe they have a presence in Canada as well. But they have made a MedTainer, which is child-proof, child-resistant container, and I said, look, you know, we are the new patient base, special needs families, so we need to start making responsible products. So that was one of the things that I worked on with them. I also joined Cannabis Science, which I believe they have a presence in Canada as well, and I joined them to create the Joey's app, which is an app for special needs families. Some families, you know, they like to stay home and research before they go out. And that currently is in construction right now. It's been out for a while, and now it's time to revamp it. We're in a whole nother phase. And so now there has to be something else. So I'm working in Israel now on a research study with children on the autism spectrum. Just awesome.
Just for everybody who doesn't know, there's a lot of science that's coming out of Israel right now. From what I understand, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Mieko, like they have been studying the endocannabinoid system and THC and CBD and all the different compounds for years, and they're light years ahead of America, definitely Canada, and other countries. So that is amazing that you're actually working with those doctors who are, you know, at the forefront of innovation.
Yeah. It's you know, when I went to Israel a couple of months ago, I was definitely I didn't know what to expect, but coming from the research end of it, and I mean, I'm a research junkie, so coming from that place and having to go to Israel, I mean, it was like a dream come true. You know, everyone, I was very well received there. The input was well received there, and you know, I had no idea that I happened to be the only person or one, I think, because every time I ask a physician, they say, I think you're the only one. But with experience with working with children from 6 years old to the age of 54 years old on the autism spectrum and cannabis therapies. So I'm always amazed when physicians say, oh my God, you're it, you know?
Yeah.
But it's for me, it's more about helping these families navigate until further federal laws are passed.
Right.
Here and here in the States. And so
currently you're in California, am I right in saying that?
Right. I'm in California.
So California, everybody, from what I understand, is fully recreational and medical, no?
No, so that's not implemented until 2018.
Okay.
So right now we're still Prop 215. We're still you still need to get a caregiver's license if it's medical. Right now, I am working kind of in the political arena with helping to form or helping to bring to light some regulations that were missed. With regards to children and with regards to families. And so that brings me to kind of what I'm doing now, and I'm an educational director for one of the largest dispensaries in Orange County, California, where my role here is to support families and physicians.
Beautiful.
And, so while doing that, I'm able to sit down with other politicians and councilmen and assemblymen and bring a perspective of a community perspective, a community first perspective, not a capital perspective. So it's been, I laugh because I say that I'm the buzzkill of the industry, because
you're not. No, you're definitely not. Definitely not in my eyes, and I'm sure many other people's eyes.
I feel that, as a consumer, as a consumer advocate, we definitely need to make sure that our voice is not muffled through the business.
Absolutely.
Because
I'm happy that there is actually a business available. You know what I mean? So we're not gonna knock the businessmen and whatnot and what they're doing, but it's imperative that we approach, whether it be in Canada legalization or in the States, we approach it from the bottom up rather than the top down.
Right. And so, I found a dispensary that I wanted to work with, and they extended themselves to me, and I said, what I really see that is a need is an information and resource center that really is a community support, not just giving to another cannabis organization, but giving back to the community that we live, that the business is in. And so every day I'm very happy, very grateful to come here and be able to have so many families walk through the door. Most of the time they bring their children, and their children have these little quirks, and I tell them as soon as they walk in, it's okay. I just left Joey. Joey was yelling at me for 2 hours, so your child isn't gonna, your child doesn't bother me at all. And it's just being able to have that open door policy, and to really just give back to the community. I mean, it's something that I don't see very often, and this is a safe place. You don't even have to have a recommendation. Even if you want to come in here just to say, I want some information, or I need some information. And for physicians as well, we have physicians that are coming in, just to come in and take an educational class or get some information for their patient, and actually find a place where they feel safe sending their patients.
Just kind of prompts a question in my head with regards to how you have dealt with very conservative physicians and what your approach was when dealing with them. Because currently, if we're in Canada, if an individual is looking for a medical license, they would have to go to their physician. And I have to be honest with you, there are many people that come to me and say, oh, no, they said no, so it's not going to happen. I'm just like, what? No, get another opinion. But for those who need it, and for those who are attached to their physicians, because there are great physicians out there, but it's just a matter of bridging that gap, how would you advise individuals to do that?
Well, we have the same thing here. Only thing that's different is we have medical marijuana doctors. Yeah. So you have your regular physicians, and then you have a set of medical marijuana doctors. So even if you, and I'm not talking about children, that's a completely different situation. So just to answer your question, for the adult use or cancer patients or NDA patients, they can go directly to a medical marijuana doctor and get their rec. No problem at all. And they're over 18, and so they have the option to do that. Now, with special needs families, it's a little bit more tricky. I always recommend that you find a physician that you can work with as a team. It's, find that physician that has that bedside manner, that will be able to support this decision. We are in California. You do have the option, but there still are families just like myself who knew nothing, right. And so I make myself available every time that I do a consult here, it's a closed consult. So that means I can speak with you and your physician, and that's it. So I'm available for your physician to call and ask questions, or if your physician wants to come down and do this as a team. I fully support the team, the team spirit here here, because I think that as a whole we all need to make a decision for our children, and it's so much better when you do have the medical, the parent, and the dispensary on board. So that's what I do here. I make sure that the dispensary component, the medical component, and the parent component, we're all on the same page. And it definitely makes for a very successful treatment option.
Just kind of coming together as a team, everybody on one page will essentially get the process going. So
Right.
It might be a little bit hard at first, but I would assume you would say the same thing. Don't give up, because the end result could be something wonderful.
Yeah. The end result is when I have families who contact me and say, my son brought in the groceries today. For us in the autism community, we don't expect a lot. In the beginning, I only wanted my son to smile, and that's it. That's all I expected. And so, when families come in, we have realistic goals.
Right.
And it's because the dynamics in our home are very different.
Right.
And so, whereas, we just want him to stay focused for 20 minutes. So those are our goals, and that's why when things happen, or when we are seeing behaviors that are unbelievable, because they are unbelievable to us. We've seen, children throw, Joey used to throw vases in my house all over the place. I would have to pick up glass vases every day, because he just would get angry because of the other medications that he was taking. He was just on the edge most of the time. So to be able to come home and I don't hear anything, or I hear him laughing or watching TV, or doing something with his little brother, that is what cannabis gave our family. It gave our family life, and I see it in so many other families, and someone that I consult. They call me back, and these little victories are huge victories for us.
I mean, absolutely. In comparison to vases being thrown or anything along those lines, like, that's huge. I'm curious, like, how many medications was Joey on before cannabis?
Wow. He at a certain time he was on five to 6 to 7 all at one time. The dosage was all over the place. We went through probably about a good 14 to 18, 16 medications that were all experimental except for 2. As of right, still to the date, there are only 2 medications that are used to treat autism. The other 35 are all experimental.
Wow. So it was not even a worry in your mind. Well, maybe it was a worry in your mind when you decided, you know what, I'm going to do this cannabis thing, because I've already gone through all of these and I've exhausted all these experimental drugs.
Well, what was going on was I was looking at the side effects of all of these medications, and my son was 9 years old, and I shouldn't have to worry about him having a heart attack at 9 years old. I shouldn't have to worry about one of the side effects being death and organ failure. So cannabis just happened to be cannabis just happened to be the side effect was going to be what? Sleep. He's hungry.
Yeah. Weigh out your options, right? Weigh out your risk.
Yes. Even if I made a mistake with the cannabis, the worst reaction would be sleep.
Not a bad side effect for me.
Yeah, but he would be here. He would be alive and here. So, you know, when I walked into his doctor's office, she said, "I'm going to support you," and she did her own research, and she said, "This is the best option for Joey at this moment," which was a very courageous, call, because it was 2009.
A lot of doctors, they are concerned about their licenses being on the line. So for her to do that, that's pretty huge.
Yeah, well, again, this was, if there was any type of reprimand on her end, I had a Bible of this is why this is going to happen. We're going to make this work. Thankfully for my legal education, I was able to compile this kick-ass file that no one could refute. And medical board showed up, they would go, okay, even they would agree, like, she knows what she's doing.
She knows what she's talking about.
Yeah, so it was just that much better. And lent so much credibility to this new option that I had no idea would be this, it's like a wave through the cannabis industry, or a wave also through the autism industry as well. When you've run out of everything, call Mieko Perez, and she'll help you. You've gone to, and it's when the families contact me, I hear that tone. I go right back to that tone I had in 2009. That tone where, it's time to get into action.
Yeah, no more messing around. It's time to move forward.
When parents contact me, I said, okay, are you ready? Get pen and a pad. Let's go. Let's knock this out. And I'm going to help you from beginning to end. And sometimes some parents don't even understand that I really mean that.
Yeah, I know how serious you were because I watched a YouTube clip and it mentioned, these parents just messaging you through the app, and you're like,
on it.
You yourself are messaging.
Yeah.
Nobody else but you. That's amazing. That's how dedicated you are.
Well, yeah, and I've made myself accessible simply because if a receptionist or my gatekeeper took the message, they would just be taking a message. They wouldn't understand the tone. They wouldn't understand the desperate. They wouldn't understand any of that. So it's very important for me to answer the phone and say, I'm here. Can I call you in a week? I'm here. Can I call you in an hour? I at one point I got to the point where I was on so many time zones. I was at home in my slipper and I was on like 10 time zones. And I said, there's definitely a need for this. And again, that's one of the reasons why I'm here at this dispensary. I'm here at From the Earth dispensary in Orange County, is because now I have a place. Now I have set hours.
Wow.
But I'm still off the grid. Last night I left here at 8 o'clock, and 9 o'clock I was on the phone with a family.
It's your passion, right? It's your experience. It's why you're here, and it sounds like it's just like you're helping people.
Well, I no child left behind. It really is. And it's true. It's a true statement here. But 5, 6, 7 years ago, Joey was diagnosed with Duchenne muscular dystrophy. And that muscular dystrophy is the fatal muscular dystrophy. So Joey's not going to be here for much longer. And
I'm sorry to hear that.
yeah, you know, for me, it's a part of why I'm here. So every family I help gives me a few more days with my son. So every family who walks in the door will get my help because it relies on me having my son here for a few more days. And so everything that we do here at the Information Center is at no charge because paying it forward is more important to me than money. I want to equip and give families tools because my son's life depends on it.
So many levels to that. So deep. Wow. I'm sorry, I'm just kind of taking that in, and how you're able to collect yourself and stay so strong that's amazing.
You know, I've embraced autism. You know, when families come in and they're so stressed out and they're so overworked, and I look at them and I say, the problem is you haven't embraced autism yet. Once you embrace it, once you accept that this is autism, then you can successfully move forward. I've always been action, because if I stop and think about what I've been through, I probably wouldn't be sitting in this chair. I'd be in like a crazy home.
Right.
But I definitely, you know, when families come in, I let them know that you have something I don't. You have your child, and your child is going to be with you forever. I don't have that luxury right now. So let's get to business. You know, it's, you know, and it kind of pulls them back. And I said, I'd rather have autism for the rest of Joey's life than to have to deal with him now being home on hospice.
Man.
So my advocacy definitely has changed. You know, I've had to reinvent, or not really reinvent, but really focus on the new purpose right now. And the new purpose is being a consumer advocate and really helping these families navigate so they can, you know, all the joys of this particular treatment option is definitely.
You are changing the perception of cannabis literally as we speak. I mean, we're recording this now, but I know that somebody's going to watch this and they're going to be like, what? And you're not even just breaking down the perception of cannabis, but you're breaking down the perception of autism. And, you know, there are times where, let's say I would be in the mall or anything, and then there would be a child with autism, and, you know, you might hear a loud shriek or something, and people would just be like, what? Like, what's going on? And with us discussing this is allowing people to further understand not even just what is happening with the child or adult, but what is actually happening with the parent.
Right.
And I think that is something where a light needs to be shined on as well, because there is a lot that parents who have children or adult children with autism have to deal with.
Yeah.
And I'm so thankful that you're able to kind of shed that light. Yeah. So I know you're a board member of the Normal Women's Division.
It's the Normal Women's Alliance. It's a National Organization for Reform for Marijuana Laws, Women's Alliance, and that particular title allows me to intervene into child protective service cases, to serve as an expert, to really be the liaison and helping families. And so it's also a consumer protection agency, and we, you know, we make sure that we're not left out.
Absolutely, yeah. We have a Toronto Normal Division, So just FYI for the people who are watching. Sorry,
You
go ahead.
actually you do. Do you have? I believe because I spoke. I believe you do have a Normal Women's Alliance.
Oh, Alliance.
There
Okay.
is. It's a Normal Women's Alliance, and I'm almost positive that you do. But if you don't, I need someone to start one.
I'm gonna look into that, and I'm also gonna put it in the description down below if there is actually one that is open. And if not, we're gonna get in contact with Normal and see what we can do there, because
Yeah.
I definitely see benefits for that, especially up here in Canada.
Yeah, yeah. To be surrounded by some amazing women, amazing women. One of the board members is an attorney over at Cannabis Law in San Francisco. Another board member is Madeline Martinez. She actually founded the first cannabis cafe in Portland. And it's just the meeting of the minds. I know women are taking the cannabis industry to a whole nother level. That's for sure.
You better believe it.
It's surrounding, myself around these wonderful women. We empower each other. And we have a few men who show up, but for the most part, we the Cannabis Consumer Protection Agency is really, we're like mama bears. We are the ones that are saying, that's great, you can have all of this, but what about this? And so and then I definitely see why we are now at the forefront of the industry.
Could you just give me an example of maybe a situation in which Normal would have to be involved with regards to, like, what exactly would they be putting their input into?
So that's basically what I do. Me specifically on the board, I intervene in family law cases. And
okay, family law cases. Okay, I see.
Cannabis, but there's other civil rights. There's we are we may be we're not about the business. We're not a networking. We're a consumer protection agency. We're here. We're kind of the ACLS of the industry, and so we're not. At least for me, I'm behind the scenes, and that's simply because I'm dealing with special needs families, and so my role there is to remain to remain ready at any given time, like if anyone calls an attorney or something, and to be able to be that expert, for that judge or for that social worker.
Sorry, I was just going in the direction of products, but now it's kind of opened up a whole new world for me. So, okay, I appreciate that kind of.
And that too, even here at From the Earth Dispensary, I spend a lot of time working with a lot of companies, and being able to give them input on the new patient base, which is special needs families. And so there's certain things, because I'm not a consumer, there's certain things I see, and then working with physicians, there's certain things they would like. So, it is a very interesting role that I play everywhere. And now, currently, I've just joined the California Minority Alliance. They are a minority organization, and they're doing wonderful things. They're drafting legislation to include minorities in the cannabis space, and they're not just they're not just an organization that talks. We actually draft these measures. We actually contact certain other organizations, the NAACP, I believe we just returned home from Atlanta. There was a forum there in Atlanta that we just were invited to, and we're moving into the political arena through some very, very honorable minority organizations that are welcoming us in. And so it's, to me, I've done every major network, the UK, Australia, London, everywhere. But my biggest, I think my biggest success right now is, or what's really, gives me that I'm going to wake up every day and do this, is being able to give back to the community in so many ways.
Absolutely, absolutely. When I first started on my journey, I went to California and I was able to attend Minority Cannabis Association event, and they basically gave a breakdown of what is actually happening and how the government is telling these dispensaries that they need to hire a certain amount of minorities for them to operate. I don't know if that is still going, but I thought that was like mind-blowing. And on top of it, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's also people who actually have had soft convictions as well.
Yeah, so the California Minority Alliance is the actual organization that drafted. It's one, because I know that there's one in Oakland and then there's one in Los Angeles. So the California Minority Alliance did the one, the Measure M in Los Angeles. And so this one is just to include us as owners, as business owners, and remove some of the, there was a lot of restrictions where people with felonies or misdemeanors could not even be involved or couldn't be owners. And so here in Los Angeles, as well as in Oakland and Northern California, there's been two organizations that have been able to successfully add kind of an affirmative action type addendum and to some of the cities that have larger minority populations, which is awesome. It's been for me, I'm a female woman of color, single mother, I'm a business owner, a special needs child, single mother. So for me, and I think I check a couple of boxes there, but I want to be, what if I wanted to be an owner, or what if I, and so it's definitely a different landscape in Los Angeles. We have all these investors coming in and people that have not invested in the community, and I think really the Measure M was about including minorities, but it also was about including the communities that we live in. So it's. I think the Measure M was a common sense law.
I can't talk to you enough about how many minorities in Toronto, and I'm sure in Vancouver and other cities across Canada, are just so wanting to break through in this industry. Because I know, at least for some of my friends and some of the people that I know, this has been their life for a very long time.
Yeah.
But because of the high threshold to actually get into this, it's extremely discouraging.
Yeah. And I mean, and I think, with the sign of times, everything that happens here, and I'm sure that there are, Canadian ministries that are looking here and looking at what we're doing, looking at the scope of Colorado, looking at the landscape of California, and these other states. I believe Colorado and California, I think we have it down.
Oh yeah.
And we're still a work in progress too. We're still working on a lot of regulations here, but I think we have a good outline, a good start. And I think that once January 2018 kicks in, I think we will have a lot to give to Canada. We'll be able to give them a structure that they can mimic in Canada. So, I love being a part of this growing industry. I would have never guessed in a million years that I would be a part of the cannabis industry. So it's you know, and then they've been, I haven't changed. You know, I remain conservative. You know, I remain, you know, the person I've always been. But at the same time, now I'm, you know, being in a different role of having to, you know, implement some of who I am and my peers are, in light of you know, this emerging cannabis industry.
It's huge. It's huge. And I cannot wait, especially in Canada, because we're going fully legal July 1st, 2018. Yeah, Canada Day. It's going to be a cloud of smoke over Canada.
Yeah, you guys may like take off on your own island.
I know.
It might be the island of Toronto.
Pretty much. When that happens and when they start figuring out and trying to decide what's going to happen with dispensaries and how it's going to be allocated, etc., that's when the discussion is going to happen. And that's when I'm really looking forward to the Canadians looking at the Americans and you guys bringing up some of the information and the experiences that you guys have gone through, because I know firsthand, just by visiting different states, how entrenched people are in this.
Mm-hmm.
And I really and truly look to you guys as like the big brother to all of this.
Oh, wow.
No, seriously, I have a huge respect for the U.S. and the advocacy that happens out there, especially in the minority communities. It's huge. But listen, I want to thank you ever so much for speaking with me today. Before we go, just let us know how people can connect with you and find out a little bit more about you.
Sure. You can go to my blog. It's Mieko's blog. It's miekosblog.com. You can also Google my name and you'll be able to find me. My Instagram is Mieko Perez. And you can go to From the Earth Dispensary, FTEOC.com. I answer all of the emails. Depending on which website you go to, you may get my phone number. The Unconventional Foundation for Autism is uf4a.org. We definitely, you know, I encourage any family that is on the fence to contact me just to get the information. We are so much more powerful when we have information and any tools and any direction or any way that I could be of help to your family. I will, because that's awesome. Yeah, I made that oath the day I walked off of Good Morning America, that every family that contacted me, that I would pick up the phone. And so 2017, and I'm still picking up my phone.
And you're still picking up the phone.
Yeah.
And you're okay with even Canadians reaching out to you just to...
Yeah, you know,
so far, but so close.
Yeah, but you know, it's one of those things when when a family calls. I mean, I've gotten calls from South Africa. I've gotten calls, and that was one of the best calls ever. So I know we're leaving, but this is really funny. So I get a call. I get a call from a father from South Africa who says, "We already have the weed. What do we do now?"
At least he's proactive.
I didn't know what to say to him other than, according to Strain Hunters, you guys only have Tiva.
Right. According to Strain Hunters.
But it was one of those calls where I thought, oh my God, you know, this is interesting, you know. But again, to make the point, when you call, I'll answer.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thank all of you guys for tuning in. I promise there will be more information and great interviews just like this to come. So please stay connected with us on social media, Facebook. You can catch us at Sensii, Sensii. IG, got Sensii Cannabis, Sensii.cannabis, excuse me. And Twitter, Sensii_UNC. I thank you so much, Mieko, for all the information you've given us. And thanks again, everybody, for tuning in, and continue to share your quality of life.
Yes. Thank you.